Previous slide, please. Yan po. Patuloy na nag-a-advertise si Erwin Erfe, isang peking forensic expert. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues. Next slide, please. Andito po yung department order na pinipilit ng Public Attorney's Office na basihan ng kanilang investigasyon. And what is stated here is authority to represent victims, possible victims of the vaccine-related injuries, illnesses, and deaths. It does not in any way dictate the agency to present Acosta as a doctor because she is not. Next slide, please. Okay. Technical malversation. The definition speaks for itself. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. These are the essential elements of technical malversation. Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor, with due courtesy, I would not have went into this. But if we are insisting on a wrong interpretation of the General Appropriations Act, then I have to stand up. Because I cannot face my co-workers, my co-scientists, and my co-experts if I will not stand up now. Pinaparating ko lang po ito. This is the most important thing. Public health menace. Next slide, please. Nagdurugo ang utak, namamaga, dumudugo ang laman loob, pare-pareho lahat. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I've been through 20 years of training as a medical professional. These are all natural events occurring in the body of a person dying, where multiple organ failure sets in prior to death. These are sometimes signs of sepsis. Lahat po ng taong namamatay dumaraan sa ganyang proseso. Kaya ang nakakalungkot po nito, panahon ng pandemya, walang katapusang autopsy ang ginagawa. Next slide, please. And I am standing up, not because I am an accused in this case, but moreover because somebody has to stand up and stop these autopsies in the middle of a pandemic. Why? Filming these autopsies is highly irregular among us doctors. Second, we have to respect the mortal remains of the patient. Third, we cannot parade organs with dripping blood because COVID is here. And when the vaccine comes next year and people will not have themselves vaccinated, then all the efforts of our government will be put to waste simply because the Public Attorney's Office has a consultant that they are painting as an expert, where in fact, he is a fake expert and all over the world. That institution is a fly-by-night institution. Next slide, please. Just to flash a slide, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, of the basis, anatomic and clinical pathology entails years of formal schooling and training under qualified circumstances. Basic instance of people, pinaglalaruan po natin ang tao if we create a public spectacle by parading organs. Hindi po dapat na ginagawa yan. If you create public health scare, we were into 19 years of eradicating polio. Look what happened. Hindi po ganyan kadali i-eradicate ang polio. We had to go through 10 doses, 15 doses, 20 doses just to eradicate it. And here comes this public menace. All because we are allowing anti-vaxxers and non-experts to come out. No one can claim to be an expert in all forensic fields. Even if you ask NBI, even if you ask PNP, wala pong forensic specialist na cover niya lahat. Si Erfe lang po. There was mention of Dr. John Arnel Amata as the pathologist. He was never present and he refuted the claims. Next slide, please. Blood, dumudugo, maraming dugo sa puso. Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor, ang puso po natin ay parang 4 na Tupperware. You call them ventricles. We have ventricular cavities and atrial cavities. Kaya po talagang may lamang dugo yan. Neurotropism and visceral tropism, these are not autopsy findings. These are physiologic events that cannot be seen once a patient dies. Ang sinasabi po ng Public Attorney's Office expert na si Erfi at si Acosta, nagkakalagnat ang tao habang pasyente, but they can determine fever if a patient is being autopsied. Mr. Speaker, next slide please. Next slide please. Those are the functions and the mandate of the National Bureau of Investigation. Let us not slap the legitimate government agency handling investigations. In closing, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, just because I was given an assurance that justice will prevail, let me present this slide. I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, I'm again being emotional because in the time of COVID pandemic, I miss Lyndon Lisoy. He was the only infectious disease specialist of the Department of Health who stood up and defended the HIV patients. He was the only infectious disease specialist who was on top of the situation in our country when SARS struck our country. Andun po siya nung nagkaroon ng MERS-CoV. At nung nagkaroon tayo ng Ebola, walang tulog si Lyndon. Pero, when President Duterte appointed him as Assistant Secretary, sana na lang po hindi na inappoint. Because kinainggitan, niyurakan, ginawa ng kasalanan, because Dr. Cairo and Dr. Francis Cruz, who are non-performing assets in the Department of Health, nainggit because he was appointed by President Duterte. Look at where we are now in this COVID pandemic. If Lyndon was alive, he could have helped us. If the other doctors are not being castigated, like what is happening, infected sila, COVID positive, magre-rest, walang tulog, gumagalaw, umiikot sa buong Pilipinas, may warrant right and left, in tribute to Lyndon, and I hope we can face all the cases, but please stop doing it to our scientists, stop doing it to our experts, stop doing it to the DOH family. Do it to me. Remove them from all the cases. Even Dr. Ray Law, who is like the Chief Justice of the Philippine Society of Pathologists, na walang kaalam-alam. But he only presented the stand of PSP, was included in the case. And in one of the hearings, Lyndon succumbed because he cannot take the price that he has to pay for serving our government. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, in ending, para naman po hindi ako multuhin ni Lyndon, at para naman po maalala siya ng taong bayan, allow me to play this tribute that was created by the DOH family for the honor for Dr. Lyndon Lisoy, the expert who trespassed dengue, hepatitis, HIV, MERS-CoV, Ebola, Zika, Japanese encephalitis, chikungunya, name it, he was always there. Please.
Sukatan ng pagkalalaki sa lalim ba ng boses o sa tibay ng tindig, nasusukat ba ito sa dami ng pinangakuan ng pag-ibig, sa lahat ng nakilala sa'yo lamang humaga, sa tapang at lambot ng iyong puso, ang kaligtasan ng lahat ay tinanggalan mo sa palad mo. katahimikang nakasanayan ko. Tulad mo'y nagsimula akong manahimik. Ang bugnot kong mundo'y binuhay mo.
Sponsor. We lost a Superman without a cape. I'm really sorry for being emotional, but in this time of pandemic, if he was here, this would not have happened. Pero isa lang po ito sa pinatay na mga peking eksperto dahil napasukan sila ng mga doktor na gustong ma-appoint. Unfortunately, he was appointed. Many more stories of the scientists that are currently being accused. I am a politician, I am a doctor, I can take it. But please stop maligning and demonizing our experts at RITM, the people in FDA, and the DOH family. With the assurance, Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor, that the DOJ family will look and possibly put a stop into all this circus that is being done. Hindi po ganun kadali maging doktor. Hindi po ganun kadali mamatayan ng doktor. Hindi po ganun kadali makitang naglalakad yung mga doktor at scientist na wala namang kasalanan. Humaharap sa korte, may cancer, and probably one or two of them will die again. But what pains us is that taxpayers' money is being used for this. But with that, Mr. Speaker, and the assurance of the leadership of the Department of Justice, that we will all unite as one people and stop this circus. I believe in the capability of our government, and I believe in the capability of our people. Lyndon died with a purpose, and he will always be there as a remaining statue and reminder that as you serve and walk and deal with science, there will always be nuances because that is science. Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor, there being no other member in the minority who would wish to interpolate the proposed budget of the Department of Justice and its attached agencies, we therefore move that we terminate the period of debate and interpellation insofar as the proposed budget of the Department of Justice and its attached agencies is concerned. So move, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we join the minority in the motion and move to terminate the interpellation on the proposed budget of the Department of Justice.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the Department of Justice, including attached agencies, for the budget of 2021 is now terminated. Congratulations.
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend session for a few minutes.
Session suspended.